Gentleman yields back and now recognize Mr. Roy for his time for questions.
Thank the chairman. Thank the witnesses for appearing. Just to clarify here, so the American people kind of know what we're dealing with, my colleagues as well, as we head into this and establish the rule for the debate tomorrow. Overall spending is basically frozen. Is that right? It's basically
down
flat to
$7 billion,
2024
but that's out of $1.665 trillion, kind of total. So yeah, it's down a little bit, but not a lot.
Effectively, statistically speaking, it's flat or frozen. It's down $7 billion.
Correct.
Is that a fair characterization?
That's a fair characterization.
Number two, defense spending is up slightly, like $6 billion.
$2.5 billion.
Or $2.5 billion.
About 1.7 of that is pay raises that had already been committed to.
Okay. And then the NDD portion is down, but that is reflective mostly.
Which portion, I'm sorry?
Non-defense discretionary is down, but that is reflective mostly of what I would call earmarks.
Project. Yeah, what you
and
would call earmarks.
The
what
politically correct
my friend
term
and
is
I would call community projects.
Right. Then those congressionally directed spending or whatever the politically correct term is for earmarks, those are not a part of this, so that number is down. This is not a multi-page omnibus bill at the last minute. This is a 99-page continuation of current funding.
We had, I want to be careful here. I don't want to step on any of our authorizers' toes, but we certainly had lots of requests to put stuff on. And as I told my friends, don't you remember December? There was only 130 pages in that CR and that disaster relief bill. They put a lot of other stuff on. We didn't allow that to happen.
So it is fewer than 100 pages, about 99 pages.
I think it's 99.
And it is a full year, if you will,
Full
continuing resolution, full fiscal year, to take us through September 30th, which at this point is basically a 6-month and change extension.
Correct.
It is also true, right, that we had the full 72 hours to review this text. It was released Saturday before we vote. It is also true that the veteran spending goes up, correct?
Correct.
There's additional funding for veterans.
Correct.
It is also true that there's about $500 million, a little less than, in additional support for ICE. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that is critically important at this moment while the president is trying to clean up what was a disastrous open border situation. It is also correct that air traffic control funding is up. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It is also true that crop insurance is extended. Is that correct?
That's correct.
In most categories.
Yes.
It is also true that as DOGE through Elon and those working with Elon, that they are identifying waste, fraud, and abuse and concerns in the spending process, whether it's duplicate Social Security numbers, whether it's extraordinary expenditures under USAID, such as a $32,000 transgender comic book in Peru, or a play in, I think, Ireland, or whatever. Go down the list of all these expenditures, that they're identifying these things, and then to the extent they have power through the executive branch, limiting those expenditures, or if you're, for example, the Secretary of State, ending certain contracts under USAID while they review that spending. And to the point of the ranking member, that all of this input that we're getting from that review, through the algorithms looking at the expenditures through Treasury, we'll be able to report it back to Congress. We'll be able to take that into account in the appropriations process for FY26, which we have now 6 months to complete.
That's correct. We thought it would be too soon to do anything like that. You haven't had a chance to verify or hear. And so the appropriate place would be the FY26 bills and or a rescission package if that was the approach that the administration and Congress chose to use.
And is it not true that we are well into that window in which we need to be moving quickly to achieve appropriations for FY26? Would the chairman of the Appropriations Committee agree that we're at that point where we need to be getting the budget from the administration, operating under our budget, and executing with the levels that you need to have in place for the appropriations process so that we can move to get, to the best of our ability, the 12 bills passed? Do you agree we should be moving on that with dispatch?
I absolutely do. I would add, and I'd say this, and I said this when President Biden, any new administration has a hard time meeting the deadline to submit a budget, which is actually middle of February. So we're still waiting, and we have to have that. But we're waiting, we wait on every administration. They don't have an OMB director at that point. They don't have a Secretary of the Treasury. the president should have been able to count on full funding through September 30th of this year and not worry about that. But, you know, he didn't get that. He didn't get it in 2017 either. And I'm not casting stone, but that's a congressional bipartisan failure, in my view. If we'd had gotten our work done last year when we should have, we wouldn't be having this meeting here today. We'd had a budget that was already running through. So, and I can heap lots of blame. I will tell you, our committee did its work. It got all of its bills out in a timely fashion. We could have voted on all 12. We voted on, I think, 7. 5 of them passed. Most of the money got through. But Congress needs to get its act together. And again, I'm very critical of Congress on that, on both sides. The committee didn't fail. The product was ready to go to the floor. We just couldn't get them all to the floor and couldn't get them across the floor, quite frankly. And, you know, as disappointed as I am there, I will point out on the other side, we don't get to do things by ourselves in the House. There is a United States Senate. They didn't pass one appropriations bill last year. And as a matter of fact, if they'd passed one, we actually could have had a conference and could have opened up and dealt with all of them on that basis. But the
Chairman
Senate
Cole,
didn't kick out a single appropriations.
and just to underscore that, this is really important. The House passed 5 appropriations bills in this cycle, FY25, last year, correct?
Correct.
The previous year, we passed 7. Is that correct? And the Senate, under Democrat leadership, under each of those times. Now, obviously, this fiscal year is now transitioned to Republican leadership, but we're only a mere, 6 weeks, 8, 8 weeks into that. So to be clear for the American people, we passed 5 bills and do we have all 12 out of committee?
Yes.
We had all 12 out of committee, 5 off the floor. We had all 12 out of committee the previous year.
All 12 before the August break, too.
Right. And we had all 12 the previous year, including 7 off the floor, correct?
Correct.
And did the Democrat-controlled Senate pass one single appropriations bill either time?
You know, I can't remember the first if they passed one or not. I know they didn't last year.
Okay.
But I don't think they did, but I can't remember.
Well, I think that's right, and I know I'm pushing up on time. I appreciate it. I think this is a responsible step forward, and I know, look, I've got some on my kind of more moderate flank and my conservative flank that have concerns, and a lot of people have said, well, we're moving a full year funding and continuing resolution. That's not how we should do business. Well, I think that the chairman of appropriations would agree.
Absolutely.
I would agree. Right? That's not. We would like to have 12 appropriations bills, but we didn't get it done. And we didn't get it done in significant part because the Senate refused to pass a single appropriations bill. So here we are, and we're trying to clean up that mess. And now we can move forward with this bill, hold spending roughly flat, be able to advance the cause for our defense, be able to advance the cause to be able to move the appropriations bills for this year. Funding's up for veterans. We've got the extension in for crop insurance. We don't have any earmarks in there for better or worse. Some of us think that's a good thing, some less so. And we've got a reduction, to the best of my understanding, in some of the IRS expansion, a lot of things that are priorities. I think this is a big step forward, and we should now focus on FY26 and get the appropriations bill, and I appreciate the testimony of the gentleman.
I would add, if I may,
Yep.
we don't do this at Shutdown. You tell me how that's better. Whatever your individual concerns are here or there in the bill, fair enough. But you tell me how a government shutdown, for no purpose at all, to achieve no objective that I can see, is better for the American people. I just think it's not.
And to that end, I would like unanimous consent to insert into the record article in the Hill, Democrats step up talk about using shutdown as leverage against Trump with respect to Elon and Doge. Another article quoting one of our colleagues, Democrat from New York, quoted, the Senate Democrats don't have the gumption to do what is necessary at this moment. I believe the House Democrats will, in the same context of the same article. Another article talking about the importance of using shutdown to try to force change among Elon.
Without objection,
I yield back.
documents are admitted. The gentleman yields back and now recognizes Ms. Scanlon.